Welcome to 5 and 5 from the One Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm looking at another one from Level 99 Games, Millennium Blades. And a quick thank you to Level 99 for sending me a review copy of this one. This might be one of the wackiest games I've ever covered on the channel, a mix of a CCG and a tournament battler. How does it hold up? Let's find out and get to the list. So first, my number 5 is a con, and it might be a much higher one for some players, and that's organizing and setting up and tearing down the game. To play the game and get the cards ready to construct your decks, you have to build these massive piles of modular decks and shuffle just like hundreds of cards all together. And then after you're done, if you want to put it all away, you have to go through all of those cards and separate them by different deck type, and there's going to be like 15 or 20 in play. It can be a lot. Now, the reason this is number 5 for me is because of a tip someone gave me, and I'll give it to you as well. If you keep the same big deck of cards together for multiple plays in a row, because there's so much variety in there, you're not going to see everything even if you play it 4 or 5 times, then you can cut down this problem immensely because you only have to go through the rigmarole of getting everything ready every once in a while. But moving on to my number 4, this one is a pro, and that's focused on the bosses you play against. Because I should have mentioned, I'm only looking at the solo and co-op play, which came in with the set rotation expansion where you fight against these bosses. And I have 2 favorite things about these bosses. First of all, they play incredibly smoothly. You're literally just flipping a card for them each turn and it tells you what they do and bam, you're done. But the best part for me is how they have a big interaction on something I'll talk about more in just a minute, which is the deck construction. Because the bosses themselves, you can look through their possible cards and see what they might play against you. And also they have these 2 accessories in play each time you go, and they have a random assortment of them, and those will generally have really harsh effects to levy against you if you build your deck this way or don't build your deck that way, which gives the game great variety because you have to kind of tailor your strategy to match the boss and how their cards fall out. But that connects to my third point, which is a mix, and that's the swinginess of the game. Because, as I already mentioned, the bosses will play a random assortment of their cards in a random order, which can vastly change how they score and how they impact you. But even bigger than that is how the cards come out in the deck building, because you might get a bunch of cards that totally combo together, or you might get a bunch of random cards that just don't fit into one strategy, making things much tougher. But I want to know that there are 2 ways to play that can greatly reduce this swinginess. First of all, if you play co-op, because you're all drawing cards and you can trade with each other pretty freely, you'll often be able to take the cards that totally fall flat for you and pass them on to somebody else. And the other way to play is the campaign mode, where you go against one boss after another while keeping your deck and fine-tuning it and adjusting it. That can be great both to lessen the swinginess and give the game more of an epic, challenging feel. And speaking of challenge, let's talk about my number 2, the tournament phase, because after you build your deck, as already mentioned, you go against the boss, they're flipping one card at a time, you're playing one card at a time, but the mix and match of how these cards interact, cards attacking each other, flipping cards to stop your boss's biggest bonuses, trying to play card combos in just the right order to rack up tons of points while avoiding the boss's ability to interfere with all of that. It's a lot of fun, really tense, and also super fast to play. But I've been dancing around and kind of mentioning the biggest element of the game, and that's the deck construction itself, which is a timed activity. You set a timer, and you're buying cards from this market, selling the ones you don't want, sacrificing cards to get powerful promos, all to try to build this 8-card deck that'll give you the best combos and the best possibility of beating the boss. And again, in co-op, you're trading with each other, trying to set things up. And for me, this is totally a pro. It's exciting, it's challenging, trying to find the cool combos that emerge from the cards and building amazing strategies, and then seeing those play out in the tournament can be so cool. But there are definitely some quick caveats for this one. Like I said, it's real time, although if you watch my playthrough, I just played without the timer and it was fine, so you can kind of avoid that if you don't like it. But the other thing is, and it's really going to bother some players, there is so much text on the cards and such a ridiculous amount of variety to them that it can be so overwhelming, especially when you're first playing, to just try to cobble together some sort of strategy. Now, I will say the game does a good thing by giving each player a starter deck that already has a nice, consistent, well-scoring strategy. So if you don't want to do anything else, you can just build on what you already have and make it better, and that's good enough. And then you can kind of spread your wings later, but it can still be really intense and intimidating when you first get to playing. So overall, Millennium Blades is definitely an odd game, but it can be a lot of fun. Now you might want to avoid this one if you hate real-time games, if you don't like deck construction and building your strategies together, or if the number of cards and the wall of text you're sometimes confronted with scares you. But if you like deck construction, if you like tense card play, if you like nearly endless variety in the strategies you can pursue and how the bosses confront you, this one might be a winner for you. And if you want to see me take the game for a solo spin, click the link that just popped up. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.